Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, welcome back. This is the Digital Investment Week, and we are here the Malaysian Tech Month 2021. The first week is the Digital Investment Week. Today is the 6th of August, the final day, but a power-packed day based on the global business services here in Malaysia. Therefore, we start off with the first panel, which is the growth of global business services in Malaysia, the holistic perspectives. Moderating this session is welcoming back Raymond Devadass, the Chief Executive Officer of Daythree Business Services, CCAM President, and OM Treasurer. Over to you, Raymond.
Thank you, Astral. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first session today. I just want to very quickly, we have 1 hour and, I've been told that we're going to be strict with the hour. So, we're going to run this as much quickly as possible and keep this as interactive as possible. I just want to bring back, to what Raymond Siva, my namesake earlier this morning had mentioned, the GBS industry, to put it into perspective, 579 active GBS companies in Malaysia. 20% of them, contributes 20% to the entire MSC population. Largest contributor to the MSC population as well, 50% of investment, 66% of exports, and 61% jobs created. So obviously, numbers are huge and, really exciting to be part of this industry. And really, this morning we have a panel of distinguished industry leaders from representing the industry, part of this group of people, 579 companies, and we have Arno, we have Niti, we have Kamm, and we have TS, all very experienced in their industry, and thank you very much for being here this morning. So guys, let's get straight to business. Yep. MDEC celebrates 25 years of its existence, 1996. I'm told that the SSO industry, as it was known then, started off, in the mid-2000. And 25 years, to put things into perspective for the younger generation, what does 25 years mean? Remember, the iPhone only was produced in 2007. Yeah, so I think the SSO industry may be a little bit older than the iPhone, but I think it tells us that this was when the what you call the industry was at its infancy, and some of you guys come into the time when technology was still much lower than it is today, and it was then where we started SSO. And today, we tell ourselves that we are now part of the GBS industry, and more recently we're talking about digital GBS industry. So maybe I just want to go straight to Arno. Arno, you've been here for a while as well. Take us through this process of this industry moving or transitioning from an SSO period, shared services and outsourcing, to GBS, to digital GBS. What has that meant for your organization? How has your organization evolved? Over to you, Arno.
Yeah, thanks, Raymond, and good morning, everyone, and my fellow panelists. I would also like to thank MDEC for the opportunity to be part of this discussion today. So I'm Arno Kamm, GM of Roche Services APAC. Since the beginning of the year, so the majority of my experience here in Malaysia is unfortunately in the lockdown. I'm with Roche since more than 20 years now. So as Roche Services, we are part of the global Roche network, and most of the people I talk in Malaysia, if I mention Roche, they are all aware of Roche being now during the pandemic mentioned as the pharmaceutical division and diagnostics division helping fighting the pandemic. However, we as Roche have a long-standing history. We're also celebrating our 125th anniversary this year. So as Roche Services APAC, we are part of a global organization which is called Roche Services and Solutions. And Roche Services and Solutions, we have 3 operation centers, one in Costa Rica, dealing with the Americas, one in Hungary, dealing for the EMEA, and we here in KL, we take or support 16 countries in the APAC region, so supporting all of the Roche affiliates here in the region. And if you look to our kind of history now, we've been opened in 2016. So we now celebrate also our 5th anniversary this year. So quite coincident. We celebrate our 5th anniversary, and like the 25th anniversary, and Roche the 125th anniversary. So when we opened in 2016, it was basically, you could say, the standard SSO, so transactional finance, basically. But now, over the last 5 years, we've grown, and to date, we are 800 employees in Roche Services APAC. And we've grown over time because we also added, I would say, to this standard transactional finance services, we also added procurement activities, IT services, and most recently, HR services and communications. And I think the very positive thing from our side is also we are still growing. So we added already this year 100 positions, and we plan to grow by another 100 by the end of the year, because this is in line with our 10-year ambition and the strategy to move more and more activities to our Roche Services locations. And this is also kind of a moving up the value chain, right? As I explained at the beginning, in 2016, we started, you could say, this transactional finance activities. It's more about executing, and now it's more looking at it end-to-end, moving processes and activities from an end-to-end point of view to the GBS organization. And then also not only moving the activity and say execute, it's also more to say you own and you're accountable from a GBS point of view. And now most recently, and hopefully we can discuss this also later today, now moving into digitization, automation, and robotics, which is, I think, the future for the GBS organization. But that's what we are, what we do. Strong growth over the last 5 years, and I think from our point of view, very positive. And also for Malaysia, we still will grow also in the next years.
Thanks, Arno. So let me bring Kim into this conversation. Kim, how has it been for Jabil and yourself? You know, has it just been a change of definition from SSO to GPS, or has there really been a change in the way you guys operate?
Right. Thank you, Raymond. So good morning, everyone. So let me just give some background about Jabil and our GBS operation in Penang. So again, Jabil is a global manufacturing solution for us, and we are headquarters in St. Petersburg. So in terms of our GBS operation, we started our operation back in 2009, right, with just 200 employees. So today we have more than 1,100 employees serving our 100 sites across 27 countries worldwide. So when we started our GBS journey back then, our goal is just to focus on process standardization, economies of skills, and labor arbitrage, right, for the company by fulfilling simple and transactional IT, finance, supply chain management requests for the region. So mainly on the region and very basic support. So at that point in time, our shared services offer services such as a call center to support the basic IT requirement. We also do AP invoice processing and also some centralized procurement. So a lot of our effort back then are really manual and heavily dependent on people. Then we evolved from shared services to global business services environment, right? So of course, we started with focusing on 3 key points. The first one is how do we improve our service value by providing more relevant data on a timely basis. So this is when we started to embrace technology. We adopt a small-scale automation development, right? So mainly focus on some BPA stuff, VB script, and all this automation work are really siloed, right, in nature because they work independently. Then secondly, we think about how do we improve our strategic value, and the goal here is to drive up the value change, right? So for example, I talk about AP processing just now. So instead of just looking at AP processing, now we look at the overall integrated blueprint management system to determine the end-to-end solution for the company. And lastly, we want to run GBS as a business. So in this aspect, we no longer deem ourselves as a call center, but we need to develop our own business plan and strategy so that we can become a profit center. So today, beyond the day-to-day transaction that I mentioned just now, our role are increasingly more strategic and technical in nature. So I'm happy that our Malaysian GBS operation have expanded to global coverage and more towards digital GPS. So as such, we are investing, right, on advanced digitally enabled and insight-driven services. So for example, just to give a perspective what we do differently. So in our procure to pay end-to-end solution, we have automated the digitalized the solution, right? When we leverage on the OCR technology, to capture all this information, and then we leverage on RPA, all the processing of the transaction, and then of course, look at how do we also leverage on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and of course API to integrate data from different sources to our ERP. So basically, the whole process now is already fully automated without any manual intervention. And if you look at from the IT services, from what we have contributed, remember old days, we do call center, right? But today we no longer provide call center services, but the team has successfully spearheading digital transformation within the organization through the setup of data analytics and factory of the future initiative. So focusing on hybrid cloud computing, IoT development, open source software development, and artificial intelligence. So you can see the migration or evolution of the activities, right? From a very basic and fundamental shared services. Then we look at 3 key things on the GBS, right? Like what have been shared earlier just now by the earlier speaker. And then now, really focusing towards more digitalizing. So everything has to be digitalized. So that's the goal. All right, back to you, Raymond.
Yeah, Kim. So I picked one thing very clearly from what you mentioned earlier. Your initial focus was on cost, or maybe cost arbitrage. Yeah. And as you evolved over the years, it seemed the focus moved towards more value-added services. And you mentioned insights. You also mentioned data. So I want to bring Niti into this conversation now. Niti, how has it been for HSBC? Has it been the same? What are the changes that you have seen over the years?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, thank you very much, MDEC, PCOM, CCAM for inviting me. Really happy to be here. And Raymond, to your question, it's interesting to see the journey, I think, from Arno and now Kamm. So let me start. We started here in 2002. 2022, we will be celebrating 20 years in being in Malaysia.
So that's way before the iPhone came along. So you're perfect.
Exactly, you can really see the shift, right? So, if I describe this into 5 or 4 blocks, right, for first 5 years. First 5 years was literally a case of one of our Asian hubs. We come with, of course, the added advantage of language capability, multi-language, and it is really, I think, at the heart of ASEAN, where we could bring in all our, I think, work from, say, Australia, New Zealand, Malaysia, Singapore, and other markets within the region as well. And literally from 2002, we were growing from 200 people to almost touching 4,000 people in that first 5 years. It was literally a case of, let's start to offshore, let's start to migrate, and let's start to settle and standardize the processes. However, then I think the middle part, where once you've got to a certain scale, that's where you start to look at the entire value proposition. You look at how you want to shape the organization, not only just being seen as there is a cost arbitrage as your key motive, but again, where you are bringing in work from 29 markets and they're all, how do you standardize the processes and procedures? How do you start to put the target operating models so that you are actually really able to leverage on the economies of scale and also start to, I think, bring in that knowledge work, right? So it's not just the core processing. The next phase of evolution was where we started to bring in the change, the transformation, the innovation pieces of, I think, what the processes require into the mix as well. And center of expertise, center of excellence has started to emerge, where we started to really play, saying, what is the location strategy? What is the, because we've grown to this size, what is why our footprint in Malaysia needs to expand in which business services? It is a combination of what talent is available in the market. So we have our largest investment operations being housed in Malaysia, followed by our compliance operations, which has started, which is the baby, I would say. We only started 5 years ago, but again, from 200, it became 500 FT operation very quickly. The usual contact center, general servicing happens to be there. And of course, then we've got the banking services. But now, bringing it to literally current state in the last 4 or 5 years, interesting piece that I must highlight, little known facts, because the moment you say you are a GBS, I think everybody associates outside as, all right, you must be processing mortgage and cards and taking calls, etc. But really, we do now boast of a group transformation center, which has been set up. It started only 5 years ago. Now we're really not only just servicing and taking care of the needs of the our own center, but this team of about 200 to 250 change and transformation leaders have been actually established with the aim of providing the group transformation capabilities across HSBC. So we could be working on product launches, we could be working on things like Do It Now, Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, not just for one market, but we take it to 50 plus markets as well. But to bring in this small, I think it's not small, it's quite significant if you look at the scale of the transformation team that's been set up. It is driving the entire group's transformation agenda, not just for Malaysia, but across globally. So that, I think, also opens up for our own talent many different streams to kind of get into, be it your agile, be it your, I think, streamlining with the whole, I think, agile methodologies, looking at cognitive, looking at your RPA. So the shape of the site has shifted completely. And I think the success, the definition of success, and this is where everybody still, sometimes in town halls, you get these questions, right? Are we bringing in more processes? And I keep saying, actually, success is in actually now becoming smaller. Why? Because as we transform, automate, and you start to use technology more and more and digitize your entire customer journeys, you should be able to actually bring in that efficiency within the center without having to throw more and more FT and resource to do the same kind of activity. So this is the shift we are in, and let's see how it continues. But again, it's definitely not it was in 2002. Thanks.
Thanks, Niti. I always say, the era we are in now is an era where we try to do more with less. I think that's what you mentioned earlier, and you alluded to earlier. But I take it, again, from what you mentioned earlier, started again very transactional to now very transformational. You've set up your center of excellence here, and then you've got this group transformation center that's looking at the entire market. So obviously, the GBS methodology is very, very different from where you started in where it was 2004. Interesting. TS, over to you, TS. I know you've been waiting for your turn. I hope the other speakers have not taken the thunder away from you, but I'm sure you have a lot of other stories to share with us as well.
Hey, thanks, Raymond. Good morning, everyone. And thanks, MDEC, OM, PCOM, and CCAM again for giving such a great opportunities for all of us to be able to share the GBS transformation here. And hearing from all my peers, companies, players, it's so inspiring to hear all the transformation that has been for the GBS until today. And Dell exactly at the same journey. And by the way, Dell has been in Malaysia for 26 years, right? Started from the northern region in Penang, which we have started the manufacturing, supply chain, grow over the years with finance, customer care, tech support. And then close to 15 years ago, exactly, we came to Cyberjaya for the purpose of MSC initiative to grow all the digital capabilities. And that's where our journey of the digital footprint started. We have the Center of Excellence for IT and Services, but at that time was very much operational centric. And we have seen, the growth of the portfolios, and now we actually have expanded our digital footprint into software engineering, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and most recently, I'm very proud to say that we have already embarked on the AI and ML initiative, right? To put AI and ML across all our functions so that we be ready for the future. And you can imagine that Dell today is advising our customer externally to digital transform. And within Dell, we equally need that digital transformation for our own processes, for our own departments across HR, finance, manufacturing. So Dell in Cyberjaya is exactly the GBS focusing in digital transformation, enabling all this transformation globally, not only for Malaysia, but for all the global functions, for all the 150,000 employees around the world. Just for your information, we have launched the Dell Digital Lab, which is one of the 4 major hubs in developing software for all the digital transformation initiative around the world for Dell. So I can say that over the years, we have successfully transformed ourselves from a very operational centric in the early days to now into a very high value functions, big data, cloud again, cybersecurity, software engineering, and more so that now we have inject more innovation from Malaysians, right? From the Center of Excellence in Malaysia. And we have patents, we have products that we develop out from the Malaysia itself. So very proud of where we are today, and very proud of all the industrial players today is exactly the same, transformation journey.
Thanks. Yes, I think what I hear from you is, again, you speak about a digital lab being set up in Dell and looking at transformation across Dell's operations across the region and the world. And I think one thing that I also hear in common from all of you is that there's so much of technology being put into your operations. Yeah, I think Kim mentioned that. I think we talked about machine learning, we talked about RPA, Kim spoke about RPA. So Anna, I just want to come to you. How important is technology in your business today, right? How is it changing the way you are working, number one? And more importantly, how does that change your recruitment strategy? Has that changed your recruitment strategy? Could you share a little bit with us about that?
Yeah, thanks very much. I mean, I have to say, if you look at our projects, I mean, we run currently, and also in terms of making us more efficient, it's, I would say 50% of all the projects we do is about automation, RPA, and data mining and data analytics. So this is key for us, and then we go in this direction. I think the other thing is, and we all share this, I mean, Niti mentioned PS and Jin, but the point is, in order to do that, we also need to have the talents in those areas. And there, from time to time, we are struggling. So, for example, in our organization, we have 90% Malaysian and then 10% foreign workers. And we always try to get Malaysians if we have an open position. But then, especially in these niche areas and with a niche skill set like automation, data analytics, cloud services, most prominent one, we also need to hire from external. Like that's what we learned, because we don't sometimes find the special skill set here in Malaysia. So this is also, I mean, to your question, did we change? Well, we need to adapt, right? I mean, in order to grow, and I mentioned we have a strong growth behind of us, and we still plan to grow. But the point is, we can only grow if we find the people and the talent with the right skill set. So there are two things. One is investing in training and develop the people we have, right, to upskilling them, and also bringing those up the value chain. But at the same time, being able to have the talents here in Malaysia available in order to do that, right? Because the direction is, and we heard even before, we will see more of this automation, RPA. I mean, what we see a lot is chatbots. For example, we have examples for procurement where people can ask questions and a chatbot will answer instead of a help desk or call somebody. So that's the direction we go. But again, I think it's key to find the right talents. So then we are very active on the branding side, working together in order to also attract graduates, but also the experts, in order to be able to grow and support all these projects. Because that's the direction we all head into. And I would say one is the strategy, but the other side is then getting the people and talents in order to kind of make it happen.
Fantastic. Kim, you and I have spoken in the past about RPA, and then you mentioned RPA again. It's amazing that the things that you are doing there. Would you be able to share with us, maybe not so much detail, but to the extent that you can, what are you doing there in Penang, in terms of automation? Obviously in the manufacturing, we've always known Penang has been, very popular for its automation, but not today you're doing it in a GBS environment. Can you share a little bit what you're doing, and how does that change your hiring strategies?
Sure, Raymond. I think there's no dispute, right? I mean, in the sense that the future of GBS is really driven by digital. So for JBIBO, in fact, it becomes more critical when we have like double-digit attrition rates due to the growing demands of GBS employee in the markets. So, beside that, my company is growing big time. So as a result, if I look at the sizing of the resources, if we don't do anything, we need to double up the resources in order to support the growth. So there's no other option except for leveraging on technology. So when we talk about, again, probably give a perspective on JBIBO and then tie a little bit about the GBS focus group in Penang, right? Because what happened is, in terms of the recruitment strategy, I think my company have been working very closely with GBS focus group. In fact, I'm chairing this, it's a chapter of OM, right? That we have been working very closely with the Institute of Higher Learning. And the goal is to conduct workshop and bootcamp that provide exposure to the student on our GBS skill set. So this is very critical because when we talk to the student, to our surprise, 90% of the university students do not know anything about GBS. So some of them still thought that GBS is all about call center. That's why they are not interested to even apply for the job, right? When they look at GBS, they have no clue what it is. So after 3 years of initiative, so we started in 2018, 2019, I think the progress has been good because we managed to introduce GBS curriculum as part of the student undergraduate program. And in returns, right, we managed to hire a decent number of fresh graduates from the university. So this is very critical aspect for us, the GBS company in Penang, because at current state, we have close to 60 GBS company in Penang. I think we have close to 12,000 skilled employee, right? And the problem we have now is all of us are in talent war, because why? The GBS industry is growing big time. And there's a lot of talent war happening. So the only way we can break through this talent war, of course, is through the talent farming. So this is one of the initiatives. Of course, we also collaborated with the university to start our own automation academy. So I think all the panelists have actually explained the importance of digitalization, and the talent is key, right? But for us, we have bigger issue in Penang, because the limiting source of supply in terms of talent skill is a critical issue for us. So what happened is, on this program, we basically engage the student in our intern program and continue to hire them as part of our part-time developers in their final years of studies. So we make the program really flexible, very, very flexible to them, so that they can continue their study, right, in the final year while being exposed to the critical skill as the developers. And again, this is a very successful program because we managed to prepare the pipeline of the talent. And the good news is, right, a lot of this, even though if they don't join JBIBO, they join other GBS company. And of course, recently I have also started to change a little bit on our strategy, and similarly to a lot of the GBS focus group company in Penang, right? So instead of hiring a permanent role in Penang, so now we are looking at hiring out of the state, right, or country, since working remotely will become the norm. So basically, we also consider, instead of just hiring these people permanently, we are also looking at higher shared talent pool with other GBS organizations. For example, engaging freelancer, gigs workers, or outsourcing providers. Again, all this is pretty critical now due to the limiting digital talent. So you can see a very change in terms of dynamic and in terms of strategy of the recruitment, right? In the past, very focused on people at the site, and then there's no much option, right? But today, I think with the pandemic, it actually accelerates all the digital adoption. And the good news is it also helps us to widen our search in terms of our talent. So back to you, Raymond.
Thanks, Kim. So Niti, it comes back to you. You mentioned about doing more for less, doing more with less. And again, how important is technology for HSBC? I obviously know it's very important, but what are the things that you guys are doing really, which is really different and transformational?
Okay, so again, a couple of examples. So RPA has been a study program within HSBC, I think, for a few years now. I would say from 2015 onwards, to the point it's almost getting to a common language. And interesting story I shared many times, that when this becomes really real, when you're walking the floor, we don't do any walking the floor, unfortunately, anymore, because we are not in offices, but you end up meeting somebody saying, yeah, I have 12 members in my team, and this is a team leader giving a walkthrough, and then very proudly says, well, I have 8 staff, and then he has 4 bots also who are part of the team. So this really becomes like, okay, the common language is changing. Other than that, I think we're also now looking at taking a step further from RPA to not just aggregate and the simple steps, but we're also deploying, I think, cognitive intelligence programs where we are also able to do not just data aggregation and saying, but also helps you on some of the processes where we need the decisioning brought up to the point of where it only needs that final human intervention to say, I need to really make those decisions now. So that's that. Other than that, I think for our, say, contact center technology, again, voice will remain, I think, a high percentage, but really speaking, intent is that we want to move to omni-channel. We really want to get to the point of where it is a combination of channels for customers to use, and we want to keep moving away from voice as much as possible, be it chat, be it social media, be it your emails. And also, I think some of the things that we're trying to also improve the start point itself. So most often we end up hearing like customers have to wait, right? And it's calling processes, your depends on what the traffic is. So for example, the latest one that we deployed last year was on the voice ID. So voice ID is starting with, I think, few of our home markets like UK and Hong Kong, but Malaysia was a fast follower, where for our customers, I think this is used instead of you having to remember your pins and everything else. So technology is playing a huge role, not just from the efficiency angle, but I think the bigger play here is that we want to take away the entire rework loops in the processes. Because as you, I think, deploy more and more technology, and you are doing the fail-safe error proofing of your processes, you are improving your turnaround times, and you are taking away the need to set up separate complaints handling teams or query investigation teams as well. So it's got a combination of things. And on the, I think the last example I'll put is the end-to-end, right? So GBS plays a role at a certain point. But if you look at where the customer journey starts, so think about people in the malls. Again, I feel like some examples, COVID has taken away the examples. I need to build new examples now, where people are in the malls, and then you have, instead of having to fill a paper form, now it's tablets, right? You go and do your start itself with the customer on a tablet. Entire journey is then digitized behind without having the need for having to do some data entry work. So anything this is data entry is gone. And if it's there, it will be gone. So I think that's evolution Raymond, for us.
Fantastic. I'm really glad I'm listening to all of this, because in the last few years, especially, I've been going out and telling people that, look, GBS industry is one of the biggest users of all these IR 4.0 technologies, and sometimes it's very hard to convince all of them. But I think you guys are making my job much easier now. It seems that there's so much of things that we are doing. We're embracing technology so quickly. But here's the thing, yes, it seems that we are frightening the crowd. I'm getting questions from the crowd now saying that, do I need to be tech savvy to join one of the GBS companies? So I don't know whether we are already, from trying to sell the fact that we are no longer low value, we are high value at the same time. Are we sending a message that if you're not an IT graduate, you can't join a GBS company? Your thoughts on that, TS?
Yeah. First, let me set the context, right? So I think for Dell, as part of the transformation journey, whether it's on the HR or whether it's in the finance, manufacturing, and all that, the key foundation in the future is about software, right? Because software is enabling all the new system on the new process improvement to be automated. So in terms of what we are looking for, and I believe this is what the industry is looking for, first thing is software engineering is the core that we need to expand, all right? And number two, it might have all the other positions that we are hiring. We need people who are very good in business processes, because business processes need to work with IT so that be able to truly develop a very comprehensive system for the future, all right? Plus, also, we need a lot of people with the product management, product design thinking. Gone the days that IT develop a system and here you go, right? It really need to be user-friendly, fit for the purpose where, a lot of users will be friendly, be able to use that. So with that, it's not just about you need to be an IT graduate to be able to be part of the GBS. Across all the functions, whether you're finance, HR, or any of the professional positions that we're offering, you need to be IT savvy. All right, you need to have the thought process about design, usability, which is on your own domain, you know the best. All right. So similarly, I think for us within our new way of recruitment, we're actually looking at all these factors, right? So that's why we go to the university, we have advised them about the syllabus changes. Again, not just about the technical part, but also the soft skills part that I've mentioned. And obviously, we also have challenges in terms of this highly competitive market today, whether it's GBS or startups, all looking at the same pool. So what we have done is that we have also included our own Dell Digital Academy to upskill our own people, right? So that the internal workforce have the opportunity to take those positions. So we have programs internally like the AI leadership programs, data science program, and all the software development program, be able to transition whoever is non-IT to IT, as well as be able to take up all the future positions, inclusive of the leadership positions.
Arno, would you agree to that? Arno, do you feel the same as far as having people who are more tech savvy to join companies like Roche?
Yeah, I fully agree with what TS said. I mean, from my point of view, there's also, the two groups. One is the users, and if you look at finance, for example, I mean, we always have those people who need to have a good understanding or great understanding of general accounting, management accounting, if they work in that area. But then on the other side, we also have our experts on the process side and on the automation side, to provide tools which make them more efficient. So it's not always this tech savvy thing. I mean, it's if you in the area you work, you need to kind of have a good understanding whether this is now accounts payable, whether this is general accounting, management accounting. But then I think providing the tools which make them more efficient, that's key going forward. So I think that didn't change, but I think the technology we provide and the tools we provide, this will change and will make us more efficient. But we still need the people who have the process understanding in order to improve those as well.
Thanks, Arno. I've got a question from the floor, another question from the floor. I'll leave it to anyone here to answer. Maybe Kim, you mentioned about taking in fresh graduates. Maybe I'll point this to you first, and anyone else who would like to jump in. There are so many fresh graduates and unemployed people. How much awareness have we brought this out, really to the world, number one? And number two is that, are we taking in part-timers? I don't know. I run a GBS company myself. I find it difficult to take part-timers because when it was transactional, yes, maybe, but today is transformational. You really need to be a subject matter expert, and to get part-timers, I find it a challenge to bring in part-timers in and out to do transformational work. Kim, and anyone else, are you guys supporting the gig economy? Are you guys taking any part-timers? Maybe we'll start with Kim.
Yeah, I think to address the first question, right? So there's a mismatch in terms of the numbers, right? First of all, you look at the growth in GBS. So we are, I think across the board, everyone are really having challenges now to hire the right talent, the right people to support the growth of the company. But on the other side, you look at the data from the Malaysian government, there are still so many unemployment, right? So what do we do? Obviously, GBS focus group, working with OM, MDEC, and the rest of the government agency, we have been reaching out to this pool of people, right? In fact, we have get the database, right? I mean, especially in Penang, right? We try to get those information, and also working with the university. First of all, is to engage them and allow them to know what is all this GBS about. Because today, if the focus is still very manufacturing driven, right? I mean, in the sense of the perspective or the expectation from the undergraduate, obviously there's always a gap because they will never look at this option, right? So what we do, first of all, is to open up this market allow them to know what is GBS. And of course, we have talks, right? As usual, we have a lot of talks. We conduct a lot more bootcamp discussion point, right? Even before they graduated. So we give them a perspective. So this is still ongoing. Very good effort from OM and the rest of the committee members, right? Of course, the challenges we have are we are very limited. So not all universities are participating in this program. So out of the, let's say the northern region, only 20%. So to give a perspective, this is one of the biggest so-called opportunity that all of us should engage and try to widen up this scope, right? So that more students aware about GBS and what they can came into to play the so-called be part of this GBS, right?
Are you taking in part-timers, Kim?
Yes, yes. Obviously, so far the way we structure is very different. Of course, no, you talk about part-timers, there are challenges in terms of confidentiality of the data, especially when you talk about digitalization, right? A lot of this security governance is very critical for us to consider. So we do in a different aspect. We do it more like a contract worker, right? So a contract worker, they are obligated towards the guidance that we have from the human resource standpoint. And of course, we also need to look at the risk, right? In the sense of allocating job to them. So, I mean, despite the fact that all the GBS company are moving up the value chain, we are transforming into digitalization, but there are still roles that still very tactical in nature, right? I mean, I don't think any one of us can dispute. So for the case of JBIBO, 50% of our role are towards the automation, but there's still 50% which is very tactical, which we are driving towards the transformation journey. So what we do is we started with this pool of people towards this work, and then as they progress, of course, we want to convert them into a permanent role. So for my case, again, we are running short of talent, so we have no issue hiring them as part of the contract, and then move them up as a permanent as when they show the interest, right? So that's how we move around in terms of our recruitment strategy.
Thanks, Kim. Niti, I've got a question for you from the floor. It says here HSBC in particular. Okay, so HSBC and many banking institutions, I don't know whether it is true, are cutting down manpower services worldwide and branches to eventually be replaced by AI and machine learning. And how do you curb this eventual replacement of the entire workforce?
I'll not be able to comment on the entire HSBC, but I can let you know, and I'll speak of the team that I have within the global service center at GSC Malaysia. I think, knock on wood, we are still on the growth mode, and irrespective of, I think, the technology changes that we've introduced and all the efficiencies, but I think we keep investing this efficiency back into the growth as well. And so if you look at, I think the size of our organization has stayed constant around 3,000, goes up to 3,200, stays there. And interesting piece of information of whoever is asking this question, we actually recruit 500 to 550 people every year from either the graduates or from the general market pool and the channels. And our recruitment team is always asking for more resources to recruit because they sometimes have. We've recently also, I think, included within our portfolio 2 new business services or the work from the markets that we never had before. And it's not single digits or 2 digits. I'm talking about 150 to 200 such additional. To the point, we have to do some specific engagements to make sure that we are able to actually hire that at that speed. So I think that's my simple answer. So I think we need to always see the 2 sides of the coin.
Yeah, so Niti, what you're saying is, although you have this automation coming in and replacing some of these tasks, but at the same time, there are also new tasks being created for the human. So there's this constant evolution of the job itself, right? Koay, yes, would you agree to that?
The first thing I would disagree about the AI and ML or all the automation is going to replace the human jobs, right? And what we need to look into is a perspective of, in the future, our workforce is elevated to be the engineers that is creating the artificial intelligence or machine learning or the automation. Because of the business experience, the process experience, we just can upskill them to be able to be manage the RPA or automation, be able to do that kind of jobs, right? So it is not about elimination of jobs. In fact, we are seeing that we have more opportunity to, improve the skill set for the future, to be relevant for the future. Now, back to the fresh graduate opportunity. I think the opportunity is huge. Although we continue to hear about there's unemployment and all that, but I would advise that all the fresh graduate or people still in the study go active, right? Embed your skills with some automation and software to be tech savvy, and look out for a lot of opportunity like hackathons and all that to get yourself to be visible, right? For example, we also have changed the way how we recruit fresh graduate. We no longer do interviews. In the last 3 years, we have been doing hack to hire. All right, within the 24 hours, the student came in, they just help to hack a code, and then we on the spot we can observe their soft skill, we can observe their collaboration skill, technical skills. Within the 24 hours, we make the decision to hire them. All right, so you need to ensure that you make yourself visible. And for Dell, we have a commitment. Every single year, we must take in a certain number of fresh graduates so that we can have a more well-balanced workforce, right? From a fresh grad, mid experience, and deep experience.
Guys, guess what? We've got only another 5 minutes. So, we're just midway through our conversation. We haven't hardly gone through to the meat. But, I think we're already down to a conclusion. Okay, but, anyway, Arno, I want to bring you into this conversation very quickly. We hear, let's address the elephant in the room. Sometimes we hear there are other organizations who have decided to shift locations away from where they were in Malaysia. Obviously there were reasons why your organizations came to Malaysia, are still in Malaysia, still believe in setting up shop here. So I just want to share with you what is working for you and what are the things that you would like to see change. Is there anything at all that needs to be changed? And where do you see in terms of growth? You mentioned about growth. I think all of you mentioned about still wanting to grow. Is that still relevant today?
Yeah, absolutely. This is part of our 10-year ambition to grow and move towards digitization, but also move more activities to ourselves. So that's a 10-year ambition that will not change short term. To your other point, we came to Malaysia because of the great talent pool here. And also, if you look at, especially for us, China is our biggest market here in APAC. So we have the proximity A to China, but also the huge Mandarin language pool. Because we, as we started in finance and procurement, certain things we need to have the local language capabilities, right? We found here in Malaysia to a great extent. And as I mentioned, we also need to bring on from time to time because we can't find. And we will continue to go that route. And as I said before, we plan to grow, and the key item here is to find the talents and have the talent. So it's key that here in Malaysia, we kind of, how can I say this? The environment needs to be such that we produce these talents which are needed, also kind of to move up this value chain, right? Not only having these transactional activities, but also the higher value activities. So key is to invest into development and in having program. And we have great programs in Malaysia, and that plays a key role. And so far we have great collaboration and support from that side. So I'm very confident that we will grow and we will find those people here in Malaysia, because so far we have great experience over the last 5 years. Colleagues, mentioned they are here for 20 years and still grow. So, that's the reason why here in Malaysia, and we stay in Malaysia also going forward.
Kim, give us a northern perspective of this. You're the only one from up north. Is it any different up north in Penang?
No, I think it's similar. No, I think we all hunger for growth. So obviously, I think if you ask me whether Malaysia is still relevant, I think yes, absolutely, because Malaysia is still performing extremely well, right? From a financial attractiveness, conducive business environment due to the friendly and supporting government and vibrant lifestyle, right? They're able to retain our key talent. So I think that's still very similar. But if you ask me what need to be considered, obviously, I think we need to focus on enhancing our digital ecosystem, like what we did very well in terms of our E&E and our semicon industry, right? So I think we need to encourage more automation service provider to set up the operation, especially in Penang. We have very limited service provider that are able to support us now. And of course, I think the last part of it, of course, talent is still a big green issue for us. We need to work very closely with the government to look at how do we attract our skilled talent to come back, right? I think it's important. We have so many millions of Malaysians outside of the country. So how do we work together, bring them back? And this is so one of the conversations that we brought up to the Penang government, right? Bring these people back so they can help us to drive up our value chain.
Neti, you guys are still investing. I hear you are moving to our new iconic building. Tell us a little bit more about your future plans.
Absolutely. So I think we'll be saying bye-bye to Cyberjaya after being there for 19 years. January 2022. Hopefully all things go to plan. We will be moving to TRX. That's a brand new headquarters building. We've only seen the drone pictures. Nobody's allowed to go there because of all things, but it looks absolutely fantastic, state of the art, and all of us are super excited about moving there. And in terms of, I think, my last comments on the talent piece, there are internal and external, I think, activities which are driving at least our search for talent. So within HSBC, I think we have tie-ups like HSBC University with LinkedIn. So there is so much resource available for all our employees to make sure that what they probably did 10, 15 years back, how they're able to actually move along with the whole tech transformation journey as well. So there's a lot of focus on the future skills. And externally, I think we have such amazing tie-ups with many of the universities. I've personally visited the campuses of APU and ASB, and we have got the interns and graduates coming in. We also did a nice video with Talent Bank and Graduand to make sure people don't just associate GBS as it's a contact center. I don't know why there is this image, so that they understand like kind of activity that happens. And that I think has given us a really healthy pipeline. So just a hint for others if you're looking to expand your talent channels.
Yes, some final thoughts before we close off. Your thoughts?
Definitely, we are on a growth path, right? In fact, Malaysia has been seen as a best value location, right? And with the thought leadership, as well as all the innovation and the product ownership locally, I just see that we can continue to expand, right? So, I think for the software engineering kind of a talent shortage and all that, it's all about we work together. It's not a government job to fix this. We as an industry, we need to collectively come and play a part to internally upskill. At the same time, we work with the universities, such as any of the companies doing out there, to grow more talent pool for this GBS industry. All right. So I mean, all the best for all of us in the GBS.
Thanks, Kamm. Thanks, DS. Thank you very much, and everyone. Thank you for your time this morning. If I can just take the last 30 seconds to summarize. I think we are on the right path as far as the topic is concerned. The growth of GBS in Malaysia. We hear from all our panelists how we have shifted from a transactional sort of business to setting up center of excellences, for setting up global transformation offices. Today we are running more transformational work, and I'm seeing that there's a lot more insights that you are providing to your stakeholders. And it's amazing work that we do. And I think most importantly is also that all of us are embracing this technology, the new technology that's being thrown upon us, and you're doing it really well. Struggling maybe, but we are getting there, and we're doing it really well. And again, thank you very much everyone for being here this morning. And with that, Hasrul, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Raymond. Okay, thank you to all the panelists. Okay, wonderful discussions. I too was actually a product from HSBC in Niti originally at Cyberjaya in 2006 to up to 2009. And then I moved on to another MNC. So GBS, yes, I believe as a product, I believe that there's still a misconception that a GBS is just doing back-end processing and also contact center. So you have to change the mindset of these new graduates. So you'll be attracting the best talent here in Malaysia. There is a pool there. Okay, good luck, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we will now be moving forward to our next session of the day. We'll be beginning very shortly. So to the attendees, do click the join session.